What's cooking, folks? Vermillion Phoenix here, and today we're jumping into some more Orcs Must Die Unchained. This time we're heading into the Highlands with our good old pal Temper. Now, anybody that's following me probably knows I haven't posted a video in a bit longer than I usually take a break, and that's just because I was trying to ensure that I recovered as well as I could from that virus I caught a few weeks back, and for the most part, I'm liking where I am right now. Like, I feel better. For the most part, most of the damage that it's caused is over with, mostly. But I feel like I should get back to recording again, so that's really what I'm up for and trying to do. Of course, I have this to do, and I also want to make sure that we finish up Bioshock 2, which I should be very, very close to the end of. So we're going to see how all that turns out, and hopefully it's really good. But in the meantime, we have this beast to conquer, and the Highlands is an interesting map because of how large it is. Also, all of the trap space is far from the actual spawn point of the enemies. So with 3 players, you would have the option of actually just trying to tackle the gates directly, but with a single player you really have to pick your battles. Now, in my experience, it's a lot harder to handle the volume of enemies coming out of the left, and a lot of them are fire elemental, so you really want to have a very secure trap set up on the left and leave a couple of guardians in the rear to make sure that nothing really leaks there. But the center and the right gates, which open up first, are much easier to secure with fewer traps. So that's basically how I've always done it. I'm sure there's some room for improvement with everything that I do, but we're gonna go ahead and take a look at it. This will pretty much be the set. This will be the set of things that we use. Now, as far as the stable hand goes, we're still gonna be spamming him all over the place because Temper has that really unfortunate issue with his happy place. Happy place gives him a movement buff, but that movement buff, for whatever reason, doesn't seem to stack with other movement buffs in the game properly. So speed pads and things like the stable hand will not, well, they'll both be completely ignored as long as you're in your happy place. However, they will stack when they're turned off, so it's an issue with the skill, I'm pretty sure, but we'll try to work around it. Other than that, I think it's time for us to dive in, so let's go.
Them rustlers will never know what hit them.
All right, there we go. So I'm hoping everything goes smoothly here. It looks like everything's all right now. I don't know what it is, but I've been having weird issues with my graphics lately, and I think it has something to do with the fact that I play Fortnite, not the Battle Royale mode, but the Save the World. It's not that I'm against the Battle Royale mode or anything like that. Like, people love it. It's popular, it's free, which is a very hard thing to pass up for a lot of people, and it's getting a ton of people in it. So I'm probably still won't be covering it anytime soon because I have this to worry about, and also because I'm just really not into Battle Royale games. Like, I don't know, PvP is not really my thing. I could probably do this better by reversing this.
Like this here spot. Gotta keep the ribs
I'm gonna say that now, and then I'll probably be caught like going hardcore into some PvP game in the near future. I don't know.
There, trap, there,
okay, so
everywhere, trap.
that's good for now.
That looks like it could hurt somebody.
Okay, now I did take a overachiever, so I have a bonus level and a trait to pick up. Now, I don't think we're going to wind up having to bull rush any heavy minions often, so I'm just going to take Anger Loves Company. You could also take Moment of Zen, which drops your aggro when you happy place. But I think Moment of Zen is a little counterintuitive, and I'll explain why really quickly. Moment of Zen requires that you have rage before you're able to use it. So basically, you have to either have stored the rage via a mechanic like Rage Machine, one of his tier 2 weavers, or you have to already have been in combat before you want to get out of combat. And to me, that seems like you'd probably just want to avoid combat in the first place. I mean, you could, of course, slink around and try not to get hit by enemies, but you're going to take Anger Loves Company.
Use all the help I can get.
I just don't think it makes a lot of sense for it to be there as it is. Alright, we're going to go ahead and start before I just start randomly smacking more walls.
Why can't everyone just be friends?
So, one of the things that becomes problematic up here later is that there are a ton of enemies, or not really even a ton. There's just a group of fire ogres that comes out later on, and I mean there's some Gnoll Grenadiers too. And so if you're fighting here, or they happen to get a bit too trigger happy, then you run into issues where you can lose your barricades, and the fire ogres basically just cause issues all the time. Like you either have to babysit the place and make sure that you can do something good there, or don't use barricades. But barricade strats are strong on this map.
This will protect our rift. This spot looks mighty fine.
I think that's most of the money I should actually wind up spending here, except for maybe a couple more of these. Oh, that's a problem.
Our barricades are under attack.
Alright. I was lucky to not be close enough that the other grenade would wreck my barricade. If I was not, there would have been all kinds of issues. Alright. Not too bad. Could have been much worse. Much worse. Alright, so next wave we get to start dealing with the left, or I'm sorry, the right side. I got it confused for, oh,
An unstable rift is opening.
lovely timing.
Get to it and destroy it.
That was just a bit of prudence there.
And our heroes
And luck.
destroyed the unstable
Lots of luck.
rift, and there was much rejoicing.
Howdy, y'all.
But I forgot what I was gonna say. That's not good.
Watch out for this. Everybody gets a level up, right? I'm not taking more than my share, am I?
What was I saying? Jeez.
I'm gonna win this here rodeo now.
Jeez. Alright. Well, on to something different because I forgot my train of thought completely and it derailed and somehow never made it into a station ever again. Lost in the abyss of trains. The right side is a really easy area to deal with, historically for me. A Guardian and a couple of good slows really does wonders on this particular map. I will also say
I hope no one gets hurt.
that you do want to get, if you're using them. Didn't mean to push shift there. I think I actually did this wrong. I'll see if I can explain it when I get my next go break. But I'm pretty sure what I wanted to do there, or I should say to optimize it, I should put the ice vent behind the floor scorchers and then the floor scorchers right in front of the viscous tar. I might be able to, no, I'm not going to be able to get over there in time. Alright. And I almost never use any sort of barricades on this side just because rarely ever does anything good.
I'll just leave it here.
And to make sure I don't have to deal with bosses, put about 2 or 3 of those up. Now, I am pretty sure that that is very safe. However, the middle, I've never been able to create a setup that I think absolutely destroys everything coming through here without spending a ton of coin or being super vulnerable to the fire ogres that come through here. I like hammered. I didn't even realize that my mana was, or my rage was full. Shows how much attention I'm paying, right?
They summoned a boss minion. That'll keep the rift safe. Let the trap do the killing. So I don't have to.
An unstable rift is opening. Destroy it.
That is actually a pretty good spot for it. It's kind of bad because I will wind up running through these guys to get to it, but Temper's HP isn't the worst thing in the world. I should make sure not to just gotta make sure that when Lysander shows up, you don't just run after the heavy dudes. Okay, let's have them group up there. Those really aren't even necessary. I can get rid of those. There's no benefit to forcing them to group up sooner rather than later.
There, trap, everywhere, trap.
Okay. So I've wasted basically all of my traps trapping up that lane, and I'm gonna have to hold the left completely solo. It's not something that I normally do. I usually make sure that I can place a few traps over here, but what we're gonna do is we're gonna open this, close it, and then lament the fact that I probably should have started in the center. Now that particular screech that you hear,
Our barricades are under attack.
that is always firelings. As far as I'm aware right now, I don't think anything else uses that sound effect. So if you didn't know, yeah, they did it. So there's a way that I can actually reposition those barricades so that they always work the way that I want. The question here only comes with whether or not they were actually able to make it through my guardian back there, and they didn't, which is good. So in places where you don't have speed pads, Happy Place is really good to just use it to move around. Absolutely no shame in that.
That looks like it could hurt somebody.
Okay, I actually did this a bit incorrect, but not too bad. If I would have moved it back here, then no, I guess this is okay. Well, no, I could have moved it back here and then placed another one going lengthwise. But how much? Yeah, you're inexpensive enough. Also, it won't hurt to do a couple of these.
Our barricades are under attack.
All right, now that they're gonna wreck that. It survived. I'm actually kind of impressed. There we go. So this is what I meant about like the lanes being sort of staggered. The center and the right lane, when they're all open at once, usually come out at about the same time. Alright. Lucky for me, those guys are there and doing exactly what they need to. The trick with these guys is always just making sure that you don't get caught in too many of the firelings explosions. Like you can do something like that. Tap them. I believe they do a bit more damage if you actually let them explode rather than kill them. I could be wrong on that one though. You could also just think through it. And the yellow fireling back there that just ran into the rift, absolutely not a problem.
I hope no one gets hurt.
And that's what I meant to do in the beginning. So with that done, we can actually force them into a sort of situation where they get stuck on those, and those can do a very good amount of damage to him. The lightning rods, that is. So we're gonna start prancing. Gonna toss you there so you can make use of your speed boost. Just because it's faster than prancing, it saves me a bit of rage. And whenever I say prancing, it's just the happy place skill, because he's kind of prancing. Or at least that's the term for the sort of gaity walk that he's doing. That's G-A-I-T-Y, not G-A-T-E-Y. It's not like barricading anything with the walk. Alright. Of course, the purple shield of doom lingers and causes issues with everything. We're gonna decrease the happy place rage cost, so it basically holds 4 times the HP for me now. What a lovely thing. Oh, I never fixed that. So yeah, with this, you actually would want to move this up a bit and then just place the other barricade going across here. Has the same purpose, except all of the enemies essentially get murdered by your stuff sooner before they damage your barricades. So I'll do that after the right lane basically murders itself on the traps and the Guardian. Guardian does a good bit of work over there. Shouldn't be overlooked. Wow, they're running over a lot of those tar traps. I have a health siphon in my tar traps, if you guys are unaware. I think I did a preferred parts vid on what I actually have in both of my tar traps. The regular one and the viscous tar. They're different. They're not exactly the same. Yeah, so that's the way you want it.
Why can't everyone just be friends? There, trap,
okay.
everywhere, trap. I always like making trap parts, not so much using them though.
So that should pretty much be it for this lane. I think that's trapped pretty hard. However, you're gonna notice that I seem like I have a lot of extra cash. This is pretty much just going to go into I think I could do that.
Looks mighty fine. That looks like it could hurt somebody. Beware, intruder. I hope no one gets hurt.
Anybody that goes through there gets burnt and slowed again. And then we can do some grindy stuff. I don't think anything will actually use that one. That was kind of silly of me. But this should actually work.
They've destroyed our barricades.
And I completely expect barricades over here to keep getting destroyed. It's just a lot of sunk cost. But the alternative would be to like spam a bunch of other traps in here, and most of them would barely get use. These guys are getting absolutely roasted.
Watch out for that.
Okay. Oh, I could have sold that, but wasn't paying attention.
That's a ceiling trap, I think.
Was trying to put it on the ceiling.
That looks like it could hurt somebody.
What did they think I was trying to do? Hang it on the lantern?
An unstable rift is opening.
Probably.
Quick, destroy it. Well done.
That was way too much damage. I probably could have just hammer slammed it from the beginning. Wouldn't have had to worry about a thing. So the firelings I don't think are ever really going to get anywhere important.
Our barricades are under attack. They've destroyed our barricades.
Of course they did. The one thing I do like about the hammer slam specifically with temper is that temper's kind of build is like a part fire, part physical damage hero. but pretty much everything he does, for the most part, deals most of his damage as physical. But the hammer slam leaves like this sort of fire dot that works very similar to a weakened version of the firewall bracers, so it's really nice. And I think those might hit. I'm moving kind of slow here. Why did it sound like he just got beat up? I mean, I know nothing really happened, but don't have to sound that bad about it. You know, I could probably, and I'm just seeing this now, place a couple of these going this way back here would be a good idea. Not really forcing these guys into too many of the grinders or anything. They're just gonna burn through those barricades super hard.
They've destroyed our barricades.
All right, finally got through it. Let's go ahead and hop down there and finish them off. Whoop. Got myself confused and turned around. Okay, it died. Must have died on some sort of damage that I didn't know was out there. I don't know.
A boss is on his way. I hope no one gets hurt. Everyone be careful. This spot looks mighty fine.
I could actually do a lot more of this.
Gotta keep the ribs safe. Like this here spot. Left the trap here. Why I don't have to.
I'm pretty sure the right lane is like super safe. It's probably the safest out of everything here, just because all of the enemies that are coming out of there, except for like that one wave of Lysander, are pretty much tiny. And this one's dangerous because they come out with our buddy here who disables the traps. Well, gods, probably a bit more of an issue in survival when you're lower level, just because your traps have to deal a bit more of the damage because you don't deal as much. And so things like BGH ballistas, I should have placed a couple of those there. Like, I have the coin for it. That was just bad form on my part. So yeah, if you bring the BGH ballista, place a couple in the center, like 2 or 3. He won't actually disable traps until he gets into like right in the center of them, and then, you know, you'll be able to hopefully snipe him with those BGH ballistas before he actually gets too far. Yeah, we protected it pretty well, dude. Ooh. The launcher feels like a big change in volume for me. Maybe just because it's late. Like, I don't know about everybody else, but like, my hearing gets like really acute at night. I can hear all kinds of things that I normally wouldn't hear. I'm guessing like it's just less noise pollution. But yeah, that is the Highlands. And that means that we can move on to the next map, which is Avalanche. Avalanche is actually used to be one of my favorite maps, but there was a lot of nerfs to the way that things are set up here, and now it's actually become quite tricky. So I don't know, I guess we'll see if we can figure out some new melee friendly setup for Temper, and we'll go into that next time. Either way, thank you guys for tuning in. I sincerely appreciate it, and as always, feel free to take a look at anything else on the channel or suggest something that you would like to see. If I have the opportunity to produce it or I can fit it into my schedule, then it'll definitely happen, and I'll let you guys know if and when. But either way, that's pretty much how a lot of the content that I've produced for Orcs is going so far. Right now I have this to finish, and then we're moving on to Cygnus as the next character, and then I'm not sure exactly who we'll do from there, but there has been a lot of requests for Tundra and just some other stuff being done. So that's pretty much the path that I'm on right now, as well as splicing in like a second game video or the second series of videos for something else, like a Let's Play of Bioshock 2 that I'm currently on, which will eventually get replaced with something else, since I should be done with that like maybe in the next playthrough or two. Either way, I'm rambling and I apologize for that, but I definitely appreciate you guys for being here. Every video you watch on the channel helps me out, and it helps me to, you know, get to know the people that care about the same things that I do more. So that's, for me, always great. Either way, I hope you guys are well. I hope you continue to be well. And until next time, as always, have a good one, folks.